You have been pouring your investment into everyone but the person in the mirror. You dedicate your hours to your career, your vitality to others, and your concentration to background noise that does nothing to construct your future. And when the day is done, you find yourself questioning why your existence feels so hollow. You've been constructing the dreams of others while your own visions sit on a shelf, gathering dust. You are drained not because you have accomplished too much, but because you have accomplished far too little for your own growth. Pay close attention. The universe will never reward a scattered focus. It rewards intense concentration. It rewards genuine value. And it rewards the individual who makes the conscious decision to invest in their own development as if their entire future hinges upon that choice. Because it truly does. Your life will not transform because the economy improves or your manager finally recognizes your value or fortune suddenly smiles upon you. It will transform the instant you decide that you are the most valuable asset you will ever possess. The moment has arrived to stop waiting for another person to recognize your worth and to begin building that worth with your own two hands. Because here is the undeniable reality. No one will ever invest in you until you make that initial investment in yourself. This is your alarm bell ringing. The period for uncertainty is finished. The era of distraction has concluded. It is time to concentrate. It is time to invest. It is time to go all in on yourself. Position yourself before a mirror. Look intently at the individual staring back at you. That is the only person who holds responsibility for your life. Not your employer, not the politicians, not your family, not the financial climate. You. Every outcome you are experiencing today, every victory, every defeat, every situation is a direct result of your choices, your routines, and your mental attitude. This is a truth the majority of people spend their entire lives evading. They fault the market conditions. They fault their childhood. They fault their luck. And in doing so, they surrender the very power that could transform everything. Napoleon Hill once stated, "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul." Those are not merely beautiful phrases. They are a fundamental principle of achievement, because until you accept complete responsibility for your current position, you will never gain command over your future direction. Responsibility is the cost of true freedom, and most individuals are too terrified to pay it. It is simpler to assign blame. It is simpler to claim you just didn't have the same chances, or the system is rigged, or it isn't your responsibility. But here is the difficult reality. As long as you continue to claim it is not your fault, you are simultaneously declaring it is not your life. You cannot control the wind, but you can absolutely adjust your sails. That is the essence of responsibility. It is not about guilt. It is not about shame. It is about ownership. The moment you finally declare, "Yes, this is my life and I constructed it," you reclaim the driver's seat. You cease drifting and you begin steering. Understand, every human being operates under two invisible laws. One is the law of excuse, the path followed by the masses. The other is the law of responsibility, the path walked by leaders. The first law states that life happens to me. The second states that life happens for me because I am its creator. The first creates victims. The second creates visionaries. The critical question is, which law are you following? If your personal philosophy is constructed upon blame, you will always find evidence to remain stagnant. But if your philosophy is built upon responsibility, you will discover power in every single challenge. Because the truth is, you do not grow in comfort, you grow in accountability. Consider this. Every successful person you look up to, every high achiever, every leader, they did not wait for their circumstances to change. They became the agents of change. Andrew Carnegie was not born into wealth. Thomas Edison was not born a genius. Napoleon Hill himself was not handed success on a silver platter. He built it by first mastering himself. And that is the fundamental difference. The average person waits for change. The extraordinary person creates it. But here is the challenge you must face. Before you can create change, you must look directly into the mirror and speak the unvarnished truth. Ask yourself, where am I currently? Why am I here? What specific decisions led me to this exact point? It is not an easy thing to confront, but it is the sole doorway to personal power. Honesty is the bedrock of all progress. You cannot improve what you are unwilling to acknowledge. Perhaps you have neglected your physical health. Perhaps you have squandered your time on meaningless distractions. Perhaps you have drifted away from your core objectives. That is acceptable. You cannot alter the past, but you can absolutely decide your future. And that future begins the very instant you stop deceiving yourself. Here is the principle most people overlook. Your results are not a reflection of your latent potential. They are a reflection of the standards you have set for yourself. If your standards are low, your life will mirror them perfectly. If your standards are elevated, your results will inevitably follow. The mirror never lies. It shows you precisely what you have built, not what you intended to build, not what you hoped to build, but what you actually chose to build. And that is the truly empowering part, because if your life has been built by your choices, you possess the power to choose again. You can choose discipline over excuses. You can choose purpose over distraction. You can choose growth over comfort. You can wake up one morning and declare, I am finished being a spectator in my own life. The moment you do that, the world begins to shift around you. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you stopped waiting for someone else to repair it. You took the initiative to repair it yourself. Allow me to be perfectly clear. Responsibility does not mean controlling every external event. It means controlling your internal self. No matter what occurs, the storms of life will arrive. The economy will fluctuate. People will change their minds. But if your foundation is built upon personal responsibility, you will remain standing. Because responsibility transforms chaos into clarity. It turns pain into progress. It shifts a why me mentality into a try me attitude. And that shift, that single decision to take full ownership, is what separates those who drift through life from those who dominate it. So look into the mirror once more, not with self-judgment, but with a sense of power. Tell yourself, I built this, and because I built it, I possess the power to rebuild it better, stronger, and smarter. Because the truth is, the individual who blames their circumstances remains their prisoner. But the individual who takes responsibility becomes their master. Every person pays a price. The only question is which price you will pay. You either pay the price of disciplined action, or you pay the price of passive neglect. One costs you small amounts of effort consistently. The other costs you immense amounts of opportunity and potential. Most people spend their entire lives attempting to escape discomfort, failing to realize that avoiding the temporary pain of discipline only guarantees the lasting agony of deep regret. Neglect is easy. Neglect feels safe in the moment. Neglect whispers, "It's fine. You can take care of it later." And that quiet whisper has dismantled more dreams than outright failure ever could. You can neglect your body by consuming whatever you desire, and it will not collapse today. You can neglect your mind by skipping your reading, and it will not cause immediate pain tomorrow. You can neglect your goals by making one small, seemingly insignificant excuse, and no one will notice this week. But over the long term, every small act of neglect solidifies into a habit, and every habit crystallizes into your reality. Neglect does not destroy you with a single dramatic blow. It dissolves you silently, imperceptibly, one lazy choice at a time. You awaken one day and find yourself wondering, How did I end up here? The answer is straightforward. You drifted. You neglected the small, daily disciplines that construct extraordinary lives. Discipline, on the other hand, is difficult at the beginning. It demands your focus at the very moments you feel most distracted. It requires effort when you feel completely exhausted. It insists on consistency when absolutely no one is watching. But discipline, unlike neglect, is a creator. It constructs strength. It builds character. It forges confidence. Every single time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, you lay another solid brick on the foundation of your future success. Napoleon Hill wrote that success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced each and every day, and failure is simply a few small errors in judgment repeated each and every day. That is the entire equation. The chasm between success and failure is not determined by fate. It is determined by your daily routine. Neglect is a thief that steals from you quietly. Discipline is a seed that rewards you gradually. But both carry a price tag, and you cannot escape the final bill. Let me illustrate this for you. Picture two individuals. Both of their alarms ring at 600 a.m. The first one rolls over, hits the snooze button, and convinces himself he deserves more sleep. The second one pulls himself out of bed, stretches his body, and gets straight to work. On day 1, there is no visible difference. On day 7, still no noticeable difference. But by day 1000, one individual is stronger, sharper, and filled with confidence, while the other is left bewildered, wondering why life feels so burdensome and unjust. That is the law of accumulation in action. The small actions that are easy to do are also incredibly easy not to do. And that simple fact is the key to everything. Consuming one healthy meal will not transform your physique. Skipping one workout will not ruin it. But when multiplied by time, those daily decisions author your destiny. Discipline is the essential bridge that connects your intentions with your tangible results. Without it, your dreams are merely wishes dressed up as possibilities. People often claim that discipline is hard. Yes, it is, but so is the weight of regret. The only distinction is that one is a weight you feel now, and the other is a weight you carry forever. When you exercise discipline, you are consciously choosing short-term discomfort for long-term liberation. When you neglect your duties, you are opting for short-term comfort that leads to long-term confinement. Neglect feels pleasant today, but it systematically steals from your tomorrow. Discipline might sting today, but it pays dividends for a lifetime. And here is the secret most never grasp. Discipline itself does not get easier. You become stronger. In the beginning, you are fighting against yourself, your entrenched old habits, your innate lazy impulses, your emotional excuses. They all resist. But every time you win a small internal battle, you weaken that internal enemy. Every repetition builds muscular strength. Every personal sacrifice builds self-respect. Every conscious choice builds forward momentum. And momentum is a formidable power, because once you genuinely experience the pride that comes from keeping a promise to yourself, you will never want to return to your old ways. Neglect systematically destroys your confidence. Discipline methodically creates it. The individual who consistently avoids difficult tasks feels hollow inside. The individual who confronts them head-on feels truly alive. Neglect offers you temporary comfort. Discipline grants you lasting control. And here is what is truly tragic. The majority of people will exert more energy to avoid pain than they will to actively pursue growth. They will say, "I will begin when I feel ready." But that feeling of readiness never actually arrives. They will say, "I will change when the circumstances are easier." But it never gets easier. It only becomes more critically urgent. You cannot negotiate with neglect. It always, without exception, collects its debt in the currency of your health, your confidence, your opportunities, and your peace of mind. One day you will pay the price. The pivotal question is, will it be the price of disciplined action or the price of everlasting regret? The individual of discipline awakens each morning with a clear sense of direction. The individual of neglect awakens each morning with a list of excuses. One builds his world with his own hands. The other waits for the world to build something for him. And here is the ultimate truth. You cannot live both of these lives simultaneously. You must make a choice. So choose the weight that ultimately makes you stronger. Choose the discomfort that constructs your destiny. Choose the pain that pays you back in freedom. Because the moment you stop running from hard things, you stop living a small, confined life. And from that pivotal moment onward, your life will begin to expand. Not because your circumstances got easier, but because you became better. Neglect ultimately costs you everything. Discipline systematically builds everything. And every single day you stand at the crossroads between these two paths. Choose with wisdom because the bill for your choices always comes due. Your mind is a fertile garden. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are planting seeds within it every single day. Every thought is a potential seed. Every emotion is like water. Every action is like sunlight. And just like any physical garden, you do not get to choose whether something grows. You only get to choose what you allow to grow. Most people allow their minds to grow wild and untended. They permit weeds of fear, doubt, gossip, and negativity to take deep root. And then they wonder why their life appears chaotic and overgrown with problems. But here is the fundamental truth. Your external world is merely a reflection of your internal soil. If you wish to change the fruit you are harvesting, you must first change the root system. If you want to change your results, you must change your thought patterns. Napoleon Hill said, "What you consistently think about, you ultimately become. What you deeply feel, you attract. What you vividly imagine, you create." He was not simply speaking poetically. He was describing the fundamental law of the mind. Whatever consistently dominates your thoughts will inevitably shape your destiny. Yet most people treat their mind like a public park, open to anyone, anything at any time. They allow negative individuals to dump their emotional garbage into it. They allow the media to plant seeds of fear. They let self-doubt grow unchecked until it strangles every single dream. And then they ask, why am I not moving forward in my life? The answer is straightforward. Because your internal soil has been poisoned. You see, your mind does not discriminate regarding what you plant. It will return to you whatever you consistently feed it. If you plant seeds of worry, you will harvest a crop of anxiety. If you plant seeds of excuses, you will harvest a crop of mediocrity. If you plant seeds of discipline, you will harvest a crop of freedom. Your life is not an unsolvable mystery, it is a direct harvest. The individual who reads daily, reflects daily, and disciplines his mind daily is consciously cultivating abundance. The individual who fills his mind with noise, complaints, and distractions is unconsciously cultivating weeds. And here is the crucial thing about weeds. They do not need your permission to grow. They grow automatically. Negativity is the default setting of an untended, unguarded mind. So if you do not consciously and deliberately plant seeds of growth, you will unconsciously grow decay. That is precisely why self-investment is not an optional activity. It is a matter of survival. Let me share something profoundly powerful with you. You can neglect your physical body and feel the consequences within a month. You can neglect your personal finances and see the results within a year. But if you neglect your mind, it might take decades for the effects to become apparent. And by the time you finally notice, you may have already drifted too far off course. The most dangerous form of decay is the kind that is invisible. It is the decay that occurs when your natural curiosity dies, when your innate hunger for personal growth fades away, when you start believing that this limited version of you is just who you are. That is not your true identity. That is mental neglect. Every great personal transformation begins with the conscious cultivation of the mind. You must become the dedicated gardener of your own mental landscape. Feed it ideas that challenge and stretch you. Expose it to people who inspire and elevate you. Protect it from influences that drain and diminish you. If someone physically walked into your living room and dumped trash onto your floor, you would throw them out instantly. But how many people do you allow to dump mental and emotional trash into your head every single day? You guard your smartphone with a password, but you leave your mind completely unlocked and unguarded. Start guarding your thoughts as if they were pure gold, because in reality, they are. Your thoughts are the primary currency of creation. You spend them every single moment, and your life is the final receipt. You cannot think poor thoughts and simultaneously live a rich life. You cannot think weak thoughts and live a strong life. You cannot think small thoughts and live a great life. It is an absolute impossibility. So what are you feeding your mind today? Nutritious books or empty gossip? Empowering ideas or limiting opinions? Expansive possibility or constricting limitation? You cannot plant both weeds and flowers and expect only the flowers to survive. Something will always dominate. And that something is whatever you choose to water most consistently. Feed the weeds, and they will inevitably take over your entire garden. Feed the flowers, and they will bloom beautifully. The human mind is the most fertile land on earth, but only for those who are willing to cultivate it diligently. That is precisely why personal growth often feels uncomfortable, especially at the beginning. You are not just learning new ideas. You are actively pulling out deep, rooted weeds that have lived in your mental soil for years. You are uprooting entrenched excuses. You are tearing out self-pity by its roots. You are burning away the old, limiting beliefs that kept you safe, but ultimately kept you small. That is real, demanding work. And yes, it can be painful. But what is the alternative? To simply let the weeds win. Think of every excuse you make as a weed with roots that grow deeper every single time you repeat it. I don't have enough time. I'm too tired. It's too late for me to change. Pull them out by their very roots. Replace them with seeds of personal power. I make time for what truly matters. I am stronger than I currently feel. It is never too late to begin a new chapter. This is the beautiful potential of being human. You can replant your mind at any given moment. You can decide right now to stop letting your external environment define your internal thinking and start letting your internal thinking define your external environment. Every new, empowering thought you nurture, every positive idea you water is a seed planted for a better future life. You may not see visible growth today, but just like a seed buried in the darkness of the soil, it is working silently, powerfully, and inevitably. And one day, you will wake up and realize that your habits have changed. Your confidence has grown. Your results have transformed. Not because you changed the entire world, but because you first changed your own internal garden. Remember this fundamental truth. You are not a helpless victim of circumstance. You are the head gardener of your own destiny. Neglect your mind and weeds will own it. Cultivate it diligently and greatness will inevitably bloom from it. The soil is waiting. The seeds are ready. The only question that remains is, what will you consciously choose to plant today? There exists a silent killer that destroys more dreams and potential than outright failure ever could. It does not strike suddenly or dramatically. It creeps in quietly and insidiously. It doesn't roar with warning. It whispers with deception. And that killer is the state of drift. Drift is when you are in motion, but not progressing toward any meaningful destination. You are busy with activity, but not truly productive. You are active, but not genuinely advancing. You wake up, work, scroll through your phone, sleep, and then repeat the cycle. And the most dangerous part is that it all feels completely normal. That is the inherent danger of drift. It feels safe precisely because it is familiar, but that very familiarity is the enemy of all growth. Napoleon Hill wrote about this concept extensively in his work, Outwitting the Devil. He stated that the devil's greatest weapon is not fear, not even laziness, but the habit of drifting. Drifters do not make conscious decisions. They allow life to make decisions for them. They go wherever the prevailing winds blow. Then they blame the wind when they eventually find themselves lost and off course. You have undoubtedly seen this pattern before. People who claim they want change but never create a concrete plan. People who have goals but establish no firm deadlines. People who dream big but consistently act small. They say, "Someday I will start my own business. Someday I will fix my health. Someday I will really work on myself." But someday is a deceptive lie. Someday is the graveyard where dreams are buried and forgotten. Drift is the slow, agonizing death of human potential. It does not cause sharp pain today. It does not deliver a sting tomorrow. It numbs you gradually, and before you know what has happened, years have passed you by and nothing of substance has changed. You see, life possesses its own momentum. You are either drifting backward through inaction or driving forward with purpose, but you are never, ever standing completely still. Every decision you consciously avoid, every day you carelessly waste, every chance you allow to slip through your fingers pushes you closer and closer to the edge of mediocrity. And mediocrity is the most dangerous comfort zone of all, because it is not painful enough to jolt you awake, but it is just comfortable enough to keep you asleep in a state of complacency. Drift cleverly disguises itself as "I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm just getting by." But merely getting by is just another word for silent surrender. You were not born to simply get by. You were born to go far beyond. Look at the world around you. It is filled with drifters. People who let the clock tick their precious lives away while they make endless excuses about timing. They are perpetually waiting for the right moment, the right mood, the right surge of motivation, but they will be waiting forever because drift does not end on its own accord. It only ends with a conscious and powerful decision. You break the cycle of drift the very moment you decide that a life of average is no longer acceptable to you. Let me emphasize that point once more. Drift ends precisely when decision begins. Decide clearly what you truly want. Decide definitively who you are committed to becoming. Decide deliberately how you will invest your time, your focus, your energy. Because the individual who makes clear decisions moves mountains. The individual who drifts is eventually buried by them. Here is what is truly tragic about this state. Drift does not look like obvious failure. It looks like almost starting, almost committing, almost being consistent, almost achieving success. Almost is the native language of future regret. It is the internal voice that will eventually say, "I could have, I should have, I almost did." The truth is, drift provides you with just enough movement to feel like you are alive, but not nearly enough direction to actually live with purpose. It is like paddling a boat in endless circles, becoming exhausted, but making no progress toward any destination. You are not stuck because you lack opportunity. You are stuck because you lack concentrated focus. Every time you chase after 5 different things simultaneously, you master none of them. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you are effectively saying no to your own progress. Drift is not fundamentally about being lazy. It is about being unfocused. And focused attention is what cleanly separates the winners from the wanderers. If you do not give your mind a clear and compelling mission, it will default to seeking mere entertainment. If you do not give your time a defined purpose, it will default to being wasted. And if you do not lead your own life with clear intention, it will inevitably be led by random circumstance. So ask yourself this question right now. Are you living your life by conscious design or by passive drift? Be brutally honest with yourself, because nothing will change until you first confront the unvarnished truth. If you continue to drift, life will ultimately decide your destination for you, and you most likely will not be satisfied with where you end up. But if you decide, if you plant your flag in the ground, if you declare enough is enough and truly mean it, then you instantly reclaim control over your trajectory. The power of conscious choice is the ultimate antidote to drift. Choose clarity over confusion. Choose focused attention over background noise. Choose a disciplined path over a distracted one. That is how you make your escape. Not by waiting for luck to find you, not by hoping for motivation to strike, but by taking full command of your own ship. Once you commit to a specific direction, you will begin to notice something miraculous occurring. Life itself begins to open up new pathways. Opportunities start to appear where there were none before. People begin to align with your vision. The fog of uncertainty clears because clarity naturally attracts momentum, and that very momentum is what kills drift. So today, make a real decision, a definitive one. Draw a clear line in the sand of your life. Decide that being fine is no longer good enough. Decide that your temporary comfort is not worth sacrificing your long-term potential. Decide that your drifting ends here today, because while you cannot always control the current of life, you can always control your own direction. And when you consciously take control of your direction, you stop floating aimlessly and you start flying with purpose. Formal, institutional education will teach you how to make a living, but dedicated self-education will teach you how to make a fortune. Those are not just inspirational words. They are a fundamental law of a successful life. Look closely at the people who dominate their respective industries, who build empires from the ground up, who rise from absolutely nothing. They all share one critical common trait. They never, ever stopped the process of learning. They understood a profound truth that most people never grasp. Your mind is your single greatest investment, and true education is not something you ever finish. It is something you actively become. Most people completely stop their learning the very moment they leave the formal education system. They mistakenly believe that graduation is the finish line. But graduation was never the end of learning. It was merely the beginning of your real education. You see, a traditional school teaches you how to remember and recall facts. Self-education teaches you how to create your own future. Formal education provides you with pre-packaged answers. Self-education teaches you how to ask better, more powerful questions. One is inherently limited by a fixed curriculum. The other is made limitless by your own innate curiosity. And here is the undeniable truth. You will never consistently earn more than you actively learn, because life pays you based on the value you bring to the marketplace. And your value is directly determined by the knowledge, the skills, and the mindset you diligently cultivate. If you want to earn more, you absolutely have to become more. That is the open secret of every self-made millionaire, every great leader, every true innovator. They treat the process of learning like breathing, essential for life, constant, and completely non-negotiable. But let me describe for you what most people do instead. They feed their physical bodies 3 times a day, but they only feed their minds once a month. If that, they will happily spend money on upgrading their smartphone, but they will not invest in upgrading their own thinking. They will spend countless hours scrolling through the opinions of others on social media, but they will not dedicate even 10 minutes to studying timeless truths. And then they wonder with genuine confusion why their lives never seem to move forward. Ignorance is incredibly expensive. It costs you valuable opportunities. It costs you your self-confidence. It costs you your personal freedom. Every skill you fail to develop, every lesson you leave unlearned, every book you choose to ignore is a debt that accumulates quietly in the background of your life. And one day, that accumulated debt matures into the heavy burden of regret. Here is the realization that profoundly changed the trajectory of my own life. I realized that I was spending more money and effort on maintaining my car than I was on maintaining my own mind. I would regularly change the oil, rotate the tires, polish the paint, but I had not invested a single dime in a structured way to develop myself. And then I asked myself a simple but powerful question. How can my life possibly move forward if my mind is standing completely still? That single question became my personal turning point. From that day forward, I made a firm decision that I would become a serious student of life, not a casual reader of information, a committed and serious learner, because I understood that the quality of my life could never exceed the quality of my thinking. So I started in a small, manageable way, dedicating just 30 minutes a day, every single morning before starting work. I read something that genuinely stretched my mind. Not gossip, not negative news, not mental noise, but real wisdom, books on success principles, psychology, personal discipline, wealth building, leadership, and spirituality. I listened to educational tapes. I attended seminars and workshops. I intentionally surrounded myself with people who challenged myself, imposed limits instead of people who merely comforted my excuses. And slowly, gradually, I began to transform from the inside out. The external world around me did not change initially. I changed. And because I changed internally, everything and everyone in my external world began to respond to me differently. That is the true miracle of self-education. It does not just provide you with new information. It provides you with genuine personal transformation. You begin to think bigger thoughts. You begin to act with more sharpness and precision. You begin to see possibilities and opportunities where you once only saw problems and obstacles. Your entire perspective shifts, and when your perspective changes, your entire world rearranges itself around that new perspective. Most people are passively waiting for opportunity to knock, but opportunity does not visit the unprepared. It only knocks on the doors of those who have prepared their minds sufficiently to recognize it when it arrives. When you learn, you expand your capacity. When you expand, you naturally attract more. And when you attract, life begins to open up for you in ways that other people will dismiss as mere luck. There is absolutely nothing lucky about genuine personal growth. It is always earned through consistent effort. And here is the most empowering part of this process. You do not need anyone's permission to start learning. You do not need a formal diploma to grow. You do not need to be financially rich to begin. You can start with a single book, a single powerful idea, a single dedicated hour each day. Because the compounding effect of consistent, daily learning is absolutely unstoppable. Think carefully about this mathematical reality. Dedicating just 1 hour a day to learning for 5 years equals over 1,800 hours of focused study. That is the equivalent of earning an entire master's degree, earned privately and silently, while the rest of the world is asleep or distracted. And that is precisely what the top 2% of high achievers do. They study and learn while others scroll mindlessly. They reflect on their progress while others complain about their circumstances. They prepare themselves while others procrastinate, because they understand this fundamental principle. If you work hard solely on your job, you will make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you will make a fortune. And not just a financial fortune, but a fortune of unshakable confidence, deep wisdom, clear purpose, and inner peace. Here is something crucial to remember for the rest of your life. You can lose your job. You can lose your house. You can lose your money. But you can never, ever lose the person you have become through dedicated self-investment. When you consistently invest in yourself, you are building a personal asset that no economic downturn can destroy and that no one can ever take away from you. That is precisely why the greatest minds throughout history, from Carnegie to Hill to countless others, all proclaim the same fundamental truth. Self-education is the unshakable foundation of every great fortune. So stop waiting for someone else to come along and teach you. Stop waiting for the external system to prepare you for success. You already possess everything you need to begin right now: your innate curiosity, your time, and your power of decision. Read, study, listen, reflect, apply, and then repeat the process. Because in the final analysis, you do not get paid for what you currently know. You get paid for what you consistently grow into. Formal education ends when the final school bell rings. True self-education begins the very moment you finally decide that you are worth investing in. And the moment you make that foundational decision, your real education, the one that builds lasting wealth, deep wisdom, and true freedom, officially begins. We now live and operate in a new economy, an economy not of formal degrees, not of fancy job titles, but of tangible, valuable skills. There was a time in the past when a university diploma could virtually guarantee you a long-term career. Today, a diploma only guarantees one thing: that you successfully finished a series of classes. The world has fundamentally changed. Technology has radically advanced. But unfortunately, too many minds have stubbornly stayed the same. The truth is simple and powerful. You do not get paid for the hours of your time you trade. You get paid for the value your time creates for others. And genuine value comes directly from your skills. If you want to rise in this new world, do not wait for someone else to promote you. Promote yourself through the relentless pursuit of mastery. You see, average people do only what they are explicitly told to do. Extraordinary people build skills so powerful and so valuable that the world simply cannot afford to ignore them. A valuable skill is a form of leverage. It is what multiplies your time, your effort, and ultimately your income. Without high-value skills, you end up working harder and earning less. With high-value skills, you work smarter and create vastly more value. Napoleon Hill wisely said that every individual must learn to render more and better service than he is paid for, because in doing so, he increases his worth not just in the marketplace, but to his own sense of self. That is what genuine skill building is all about: the ongoing process of making yourself truly indispensable. But here is the common trap that most people fall directly into. They stop the learning process the very moment they become comfortable in their current role. They think to themselves, "I already know how to do my job," and that is the exact moment when their personal and professional decline begins. Comfort is the silent killer of competence. The moment you stop actively sharpening your skills, your blade begins to rust from disuse. The modern marketplace does not care how many years you have been doing something. It only rewards how exceptionally well you can do it today. You can genuinely have 20 years of diverse and progressive experience, or you can have one single year of experience repeated mindlessly for 20 years. One path leads to true mastery. The other path leads directly to lifelong mediocrity. Ask yourself this critical question: what specific, valuable skills are you actively developing right now? What abilities are you consciously refining? What unique value are you adding that makes people say, "I absolutely need what this person can do"? Because in the end, the market does not pay you for your effort alone. It pays you for your effectiveness and your results. You do not rise by simply working harder at the same tasks. You rise by becoming genuinely better at valuable tasks. Skill is the new, powerful currency of personal power, and it compounds far faster than money ever could. The more you learn, the more you have the capacity to earn. The more you practice deliberately, the more you can produce. The more you consistently improve, the more irreplaceable you become to the world. Think carefully about this. An individual with one truly great, valuable skill can feed a family. An individual with multiple great, valuable skills can build an entire empire. Learn to communicate with power and clarity. You will influence people effectively. Learn to sell ideas and value. You will create your own opportunities. Learn to lead and inspire others. You will multiply your results exponentially. Learn to manage money wisely. You will build lasting financial freedom. Each new skill you master becomes another powerful tool in your personal arsenal. The more tools you possess, the more complex problems you can solve. And the marketplace always rewards effective problem solvers. It is not about waiting for luck to strike. It is about building personal leverage. And leverage is constructed through the acquisition of skill. Every successful person you admire is, at their core, simply someone who mastered one or two critical things and then did them with relentless consistency for years on end. That is the entire secret. Success is not a mysterious phenomenon. It is a methodical process. But here is the inevitable catch. Developing a high-level skill takes considerable time. It takes thousands of repetitions. It takes profound humility. You must be willing to be genuinely bad at something new before you can ever become great at it. Most people quit while they are still bad. Champions simply stay in the process until they become brilliant. When you diligently develop a new skill, you are not just learning a new technique. You are actively rewiring your very identity. You are teaching your brain the powerful lesson that you can grow, adapt, and improve through focused effort. And that core belief that you are capable of change through effort is the foundational bedrock of all lasting achievement. So, how do you actually build valuable skills in a world filled with endless distractions? The same exact way you build physical muscle with focused, deliberate repetition. Pick one single area of your life that matters most to your future vision and commit to mastering it for the next 12 months. Just one focused area. Study it deeply. Practice it relentlessly. Fail at it often. Refine your approach, and keep moving forward until you are not just good, you are genuinely great. One single, focused year of dedicated skill building can fundamentally change your entire life trajectory. Because when your skill level rises, your natural confidence rises with it. And when your confidence rises, opportunity has a way of finding you, even if you are hidden at first. The marketplace possesses an uncanny ability to always find excellence, even when it is initially hidden from plain view. That is precisely why you must stop chasing empty titles and start chasing demonstrable mastery. Titles can fade, degrees can become outdated, but true mastery multiplies your value forever. You can lose your job, but you cannot lose your ability. You can lose your business, but you cannot lose your hard-earned expertise. Once you have built a valuable skill, it becomes your silent, lifelong income generator. It keeps paying you dividends long after the initial work is completed. And here is a truth that most people never fully grasp. You are already getting paid exactly what you are currently worth in the marketplace, not as a human being, but as a producer of value. If you want more income, you must